Welcome everyone, my name is Naya Ortiz.
And I'm Elijah Sutton.
Right into the news that we have today. An IMPD officer was seriously injured in a crash on the southwest side of Indianapolis while heading to work Sunday afternoon. The accident happened near Mooresville Road and Kentucky Avenue. Another officer was already stopped on Kentucky Avenue with their lights on, removing a mattress from the road when Officer Michael Kerman hit another vehicle, resulting in his squad car losing control, hitting the first officer's vehicle on the road and later flipping over on its roof. Kernan, a 22-year veteran, I should say, at the police department, was pinned under his flipped-over squad car, leaving him in critical condition. He was retrieved by the fire department and transported to Eskenazi Hospital to remain stable. IMPD is still investigating the crash.
On the other side of town, on Monday, one person died and 5 others were injured in a shooting that occurred at a Waffle House in Indianapolis. The incident occurred at the Waffle House located in the 2600 block of South Lyndhurst Drive around 12:30 in the morning. The victim who died was identified as Crystal Kennebrew of Gary, Indiana, who was visiting Indy for the All-Star weekend. The other victims were transported to nearby hospitals and all are said to be in stable condition. IMPD stated that the shooting was a result of an altercation between 2 groups at Waffle House and are still investigating this shooting. If you or anyone you know has any information that can help this case, officers are asking to call Detective Doug Morning at 317-327-3475. Or you can call Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS, which can keep your identity anonymous.
And a Jewish family in Carmel became the victim of a hate crime after the heavy snowfall in Carmel this past weekend. Swastikas and a Star of David were tracked into the snow in the family's front yard. Police are investigating the act of hate but have not identified any suspects at the time. The mayor of Carmel, Sue Finkum, condemned the act in a statement saying, quote, "This hateful display has no place in our city and will not be tolerated." The Indianapolis Jewish Community Relations Council said it was, quote, "appalled by the graffiti" and noted the rise in anti-Semitism following the conflict in Gaza. No other information has yet to be released.
In other news, shots were fired during an illegal party at Indianapolis Onyx Event Center last weekend. According to IMPD, officers were on the scene at the time of the shooting as they prepared to raid the event center due to the building being issued a cease and desist order for the party that took place. Officers were staging outside the building when numerous people ran out and someone said someone had been shot. Terrell Anderson Jr., an attendant of the party at Onyx, stated that, quote, "It was almost rapid fire, just back to back. There was a small pause." A 32-year-old male was pronounced dead at the scene and a 21-year-old female was found in a vehicle nearby with gunshot wounds. The victim was transported to the hospital and remains in stable condition.
And on Monday, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation announced that remains from Mineral County found back in 1991 have been identified as an Indiana man. The remains belong to Stephen Kenneth Risku of Indianapolis and were discovered on Wolf Creek Pass in Mineral County, Colorado. Investigators submitted DNA from the remains for forensic investigative genetic genealogy testing in 2023. Those results, along with dental records, confirmed the victim as Mr. Risku. Mineral County Sheriff Terry Weatherhill said, quote, "If anyone has information as to why or how Stephen Risku was at a remote location on Wolf Creek Pass, or if anyone has any additional questions, please contact the Mineral County Sheriff's Office."
On Friday, the Indiana State Police Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force made an arrest in Bluffton, Indiana. Officers arrested 50-year-old Jamie Besant, charging him with possession of child pornography, resulting in 3 level 5 felony charges. The task force received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which prompted a house search where they received the necessary evidence to make the arrest.
And late last week, Governor Eric Holcomb announced that 50 Indiana National Guards will be deployed to assist Texas at the southern border. According to Master Sergeant Jeff Laurie, this deployment will cost over $7 million. Troops will not be deployed until mid-March and will stay in Texas for 6 months. The announcement came after Governor Holcomb returned from his visit with other Republican governors in Texas. The governors who went to Texas are claiming that the Biden administration is not doing enough to prevent unauthorized immigrants through the border, and I must add that Indiana taxpayers will be footing that bill.
When we come back, we're going to be switching gears, and coming up, we have a look in the sky with Kendall Pearson that you won't want to miss right after this break.
They ain't going back to back. Ain't no one getting past Boston. They got a super team, man.
All right, Jace, check up. This is Last Call. Jason and I head-to-head on football, baseball, basketball, and everything UIndy.
Mondays, 6 p.m. Uindytv on YouTube and Xfinity Stream Channel 1096.
So the overall mission here at Flanner House Indy is to help with the development and growth, the self-efficiency and self-sufficiency of the near northwest side of Indianapolis. When the Double Eights closed in the area, that left the near northwest side a food desert. So Brandon Cosby, the executive director of Flanner House, started with the Flanner House Farms, where they grow fresh produce organically for the neighborhood around. And then later on down the line, Cleo's came about. So we're here to help with the sustainability of getting fresh food at cheap prices to the locals around. Black owned, black ran. That's the gist of Cleo's for the most part.
Welcome back into Uindytv News. We now have reporter Kendall Pearson joining us with our weekend weather forecast. Please tell me something good, Kendall.
Thank you for having me, Nia and Elijah. Thankfully, the sun is out today, and I'm here with your 4-day forecast. Today, it is pretty sunny outside, 60 degrees right now with a low of 50, and it is partly sunny, so thankfully the sun is shining, though we do have a few clouds. Tomorrow, the high is 50 with the low of 36, but we do have a 100% chance of rain, but you know, that is perfect nap weather. Friday, we have a high of 48 with a low of 23, and it is going to be partly cloudy again. So even though it's supposed to be a little colder, hopefully the sun makes up for it. Saturday, it is the coldest day of the week with a high of 38 and a low of 26. And again, the sun should be out, so it shouldn't be too bad. That's all I have for you right now. We're going to head back on over to the desk with Nia and Elijah.
Thank you so much, Kendall. I am so glad it is warming up again.
Oh my goodness.
Let's just not dip back down. Anyway, now taking a turn to politics. The Indiana primary election is approaching, and some Hoosiers from across the state have submitted challenges claiming that specific candidates are not eligible to run for their respective positions. According to the Indiana Election Code, an individual who challenges the qualifications of a candidate must be registered to vote in the election district the candidate seeks to represent. Some of the challenges in Indiana were for presidential candidates in addition to candidates for the U.S. Senate and U.S. House of Representatives. Given these challenges, the Indiana Code states that the Indiana Election Commission must meet to hear each challenge and announce its verdict on the matter. A candidate or challenger can also appeal these challenges.
And speaking about politics, get ready for a showdown in South Carolina. Former Governor Nikki Haley is aiming to challenge Donald Trump's lead in the upcoming Republican primary. But Trump's got some heavyweight endorsements in Haley's home turf, proving he's still the top dog in the party. The battle is just only heating up, and we'll be sure to keep you updated on all the election news.
On Sunday, 2 Indiana juveniles were arrested connected to drug charges. In Hamilton County, officers were trying to conduct a traffic stop on State Road 38 and Bowdoin Road when it quickly turned to a police chase. The driver of the vehicle didn't pull over and kept going while officers pursued the vehicle until the car went off the road, crashing into trees at 146th Street and Atlantic Road. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but officers recovered $2,000 in cash, psychedelic mushrooms, marijuana, and over 150 THC vape cartridges in the vehicle.
In other news, a man was pronounced dead at the scene in a single car crash earlier this week. The crash was reported early Tuesday morning. According to IMPD, the driver crashed in the 9300 block of Fall Creek Road while attempting to maintain control of the vehicle. The cause of this crash has yet to be released, as IMPD is waiting for the coroner to do an autopsy. As soon as we learn more, we will be sure to keep you updated on the incident.
And in more exciting news, an officer turned to a dog rescuer after saving a dog whose snout was zip-tied shut. Officer Stephanie Northcutt found the Doberman in an empty lot in northern Indiana with its mouth zip-tied shut. The officer freed the poor animal and even adopted him, naming him Zeus.
Of a cruel act. South Bend officers found the Doberman with its snout fastened shut with a zip tie. The dog was understandably frightened and was standoffish until Officer Stephanie Northcutt approached it with a very gentle manner. After gaining the dog's trust, the other officers were able to move in and remove the fastened zip tie, freeing the doggo. Now, here's where this good news story gets even better. Officer Northcutt was so enamored with the dog named Zeus, she had him spend time with her own dogs and then decided to make it official, adopting him into her own family. It's not every day you get to go home with your hero, but this canine-loving cop has now rescued this lucky dog twice.
Wow, that is such a cute dog, Zeus.
It
That's a
definitely
lovely
is.
name. In more exciting news, this past weekend in Indianapolis, we had the privilege of hosting the 73rd NBA All-Star event. Our very own pacer and rookie Tyrese Halliburton got to showcase his skills in his second NBA All-Star game ever.
Whoop whoop!
A total of 397 points were scored between both teams, with the East beating the West 211 to 186. This is the most points ever scored in the NBA All-Star game, and our very own Tyrese Halliburton was in the midst of it, earning him the title and the prom king over the weekend. He scored 32 points while achieving high numbers in his other stats. Halliburton wants to keep that energy going, saying, quote, "There was a lot of energy in the building, a lot of energy from Pacer fans, and a lot for us to be excited about. We just want to carry that momentum for the second half of the season and make a playoff push." I agree, Tyrese. Indianapolis will be the place many remember after the weekend-long party for NBA All-Star Weekend.
And up next, we have more sports news you won't want to miss with our very own Charles Foster. Stay tuned.
Overall mission here at Flanner House Indy is to help with the development and growth, the self-efficiency and self-sufficiency of the near northwest side of Indianapolis. When the Double Eights closed in the area, that left the near northwest side a food desert. So Brandon Cosby, the executive director of Flanner House, started with the Flanner House Farms, where they grow fresh produce organically for the neighborhood around. And then later on down the line, Cleo's came about. So we're here to help with the sustainability of getting fresh food at cheap prices to the locals around. Black owned, black ran. That's the gist of Cleo's for the most part.
We'll leave it to our actual athletes. Watch UIndyTV's live sports broadcast on GLVCSN and YouTube.
There's often a moment when you're helping somebody with math where they just suddenly get over that little barrier and they get it. It's a nice aha moment, and I really like being involved in helping students achieve that moment. And we do get a lot of those here in the tutoring lab.
Welcome back. We are now joined by Charles Foster for a sports update. Charles, give me some good sports.
Thank you very much. This weekend was an interesting weekend from start to finish, and I have the rundown for you. Friday night was the All-Star Celebrity Game, which me and Last Call host Jace Hodge were fortunate enough to attend, and the game was extremely fun. Team Shannon Sharp won that game, led by 37 points from NFL player Micah Parsons. Moving on to Saturday, we had the smaller contests in full force. The three-point contest was won by Damian Lillard, who has now won back-to-back three-point contests. After that, the Steph versus Sabrina WNBA versus NBA three-point contest began as they went head-to-head. Despite Sabrina scoring more points than anyone in the first three-point contest, she was going against the best shooter in the world. Steph Curry won that one 29-26. The dunk contest ended the night, and I'll be the first to say it's time for it to go. The dunk contest has been a tradition for over 70 years, and it's to the point where no new dunks are humanly possible. However, Mac McClung maintained his title as he now wins his second dunk contest in a row. To end everything off, the All-Star weekend, All-Star Sunday night was the All-Star game, which was the highest scoring game ever. The game had no defense played, which to some people was awful, but to others, like me, was understandable. The game ended with the East surprisingly winning 211-186, led by Damian Lillard's 37 points. Dame brought home both the three-point trophy and the All-Star MVP as he had an amazing weekend. But even people not named Damian had an amazing weekend as well. Indianapolis did an amazing job at hosting the NBA's midseason party. The city was packed and it was something to behold. The 2025 All-Star Game will be in San Francisco and in the Bay Area and will be the 74th in history. I cannot wait to see what the NBA has in store. With the NFL season being over, that can only mean one thing for us multiple sports fans. It's baseball season, and the first steps to getting to that season began this Monday. All pitchers and position players have now reported to spring training, which for those who do not know is similar to NFL's training camp. The players will begin working for the season, and they will start their scrimmages tomorrow with the Dodgers playing the Padres. This MLB season is following one of the most entertaining ones in years that finished with the longest title drought ending with the Rangers bringing one home. This MLB season is sure to be good as we slowly inch our way towards opening day on March 28th. Speaking of baseball, UIndy's baseball season began this weekend where they went to Notre Dame in Ohio and ran them out of their own building. They were scheduled to play 3 games but only played 1 due to the snow, and they came on as the odds-on favorite. Carter Nowak got the win as they threw 3 innings and only allowed 2 hits and no runs. The Greyhounds scored 12 runs, which is 10 less than their last opening weekend, but still an amazing performance. The Greyhounds will travel to Georgia to play Georgia Southwestern in their next 3-game series. But it's time to go indoors as UIndy basketball has some road games this weekend. Both teams travel to Springfield, Illinois to play against the Springfield Stars. The women's team came into the game losing 2 of their last 3 games, and this one was no better. The Greyhounds lost in a very high-scoring game, 101-96. The Greyhounds were led by 33 points by Jada Haynes in a phenomenal performance for her. However, it wasn't enough for the second half performance from the Stars. They led them to victory in a close one against the Greyhounds. About an hour later, the men's team played, and they seemed to have a little bit of a better game. They came out with the win 82-75 and were led by 25 by Jesse Bingham and 23 from last year's GLVC Player of the Year, Kendrick Choa. The men's Greyhounds team has looked amazing this year and continue to surge to the GLVC. With the playoffs right around the corner, the Greyhounds are looking like real threats. Only a few more weeks in the season, and Greyhounds fans cannot wait for the playoffs. That's all from me. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Charles, for all that sports news update. Now, concerning the sports, the All-Star Weekend, we have to talk about when Jaylen Brown dunked over Kai Cenat.
Kai Cenat. Wow. I mean, he's so itty-bitty. How could he not? Like, he's probably my height.
I was going to say, for you to call him itty-bitty, that's disrespectful.
By the way, I'm 4'10.5", guys, so make sure to put the half. Kai Cenat is probably maybe about 5 foot.
You'll give him that.
Did you hear that they kicked him out of the, well, they didn't kick him out of the game, or they benched him early because he's just so small.
Stop.
It's like, what can he do against people, like players that are 6'3", 6'4"? I mean, there's really no defense you can.
That's like me going out to play for UIndy basketball right now. I'm only 5'8". Their shortest guy's like 6 foot. I can't do that.
And that's average, so that's ridiculous. We'll continue with other news on this newscast. And so, gas prices are still on the rise and will likely remain that way as an oil refinery in Indiana remains closed. BP Whiting, an oil refinery located in Indiana, processes around 435,000 barrels of oil each day and has been closed for over 2 weeks due to a power outage. This closure has increased the national average of gas prices 12 cents since last week, reaching an average of $3.27 per gallon. Andrew Gross, a spokesperson for AAA, said, quote, "The refinery issue should be resolved soon, hopefully leading to lower gas prices." I'm hoping as well, because Lord knows, whew, gas prices are crazy.
In other news, a new medical breakthrough saved a patient's life here in Indianapolis. First responders were called to a scene where they encountered a person with multiple gunshot wounds needing an immediate blood transfusion. Thankfully, paramedics were equipped with a new portable blood transfusion device, which allows them to safely transport warm and transfused blood all on the go. The patient's pulse returned immediately after the transfusion, making them the first person saved from this new program and system. After stabilized, the patient was then transported to a hospital, expected to make a full recovery. Indianapolis EMS encourages continued blood donations so this equipment can save more lives.
And a major accident halted the southbound lanes of I-65 near Scottsburg on Monday afternoon. 3 accidents, all within 5 miles of each other, completely halted southbound traffic between Scottsburg and Henryville around noon. NDOT reported no injuries or casualties, thankfully, but a semi-truck was left completely scorched in one of the accidents. Drivers took to social media to share their frustrations with the closure, as many were stranded in a relatively rural area along the course of I-65. Forget this, well past 3 hours.
Back on All-Star Weekend, there were some popular celebrities that were in town this weekend, and us Hoosiers were getting all the photo ops. 2 Chainz, 50 Cent, Babyface, and Jennifer Hudson were only just a few of the favorites who visited Indy. And of course, some of the big players were Larry Bird, LeBron James, and Stephen Curry. There was a total of 4.6 million viewers, which is a 31% increase from last year's NBA All-Star Game. Local businesses here in Indy profited thousands from last weekend's events and continue to remain ecstatic.
Speaking of all the celebrities who were in town, join us after the break for our entertainment segment with our Spotlight reporter, Kendall Pearson. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
We'll leave it to our actual athletes. Watch UIndyTV's live sports broadcast on GLV-CSN and YouTube.
There's often a moment when you're helping somebody with math where they just suddenly get over that little barrier and they get it. It's a nice aha moment, and I really like being involved in helping students achieve that moment. And we do get a lot of those here in the tutoring lab.
Now we have Kendall Pearson joining us to get us all up to date on all the hottest celebs. Hey, Kendall.
Hey, Naya, thank you so much for having me again. TC Restaurant Group has worked with many other celebrities to create music-centered restaurants. Well, the restaurant group has a new client, hit country artist Morgan Wallen. Their collaboration will produce a large 6-story bar and restaurant called This Bar and Tennessee Kitchen. It's going to be a 30,000 square foot venue located off Nashville's Lower Broadway Entertainment District. It'll have 3 live music stations along with a gift shop and an open-air rooftop lounge. Guests will get to explore the different floors of the venue, which will display photos and memorabilia of Morgan's life and career thus far. The restaurant menu will be centered around small and large portions of Southern cuisine, with some recipes being inspired by Morgan's mother's cooking. If you aren't a fan of Morgan and haven't put 2 and 2 together, the venue is named after his song This Bar, which was released in 2021. In an interview with Billboard, Morgan stated, "I sing about finding myself in this bar, and now it's coming to life. This venue will hold true to everything I love and is inspired by my fans and the way they have embraced me and my music." Moving on to celebrity that we all wish was still alive. Over the weekend, the film One Love dominated the box office over the holiday weekend. Between Friday and Sunday, the film made over $27.2 million and grossed an additional $29 million overseas, making it the 3rd highest grossing movie of 2024 thus far. The movie is the story of reggae singer and songwriter Bob Marley and his rise to fame from the mid-1970s until his death that was due to melanoma in 1981. The film starts off by talking about the political conflict going on in 1976 in his home country, Jamaica, and how he decided to announce a concert performance in order to promote peace among the community. But while preparing for the concert, Marley and his wife Rita and several other of his band members are shot by assassins. The story continues with Marley traveling around the world to perform and spread love. My family and I are honored with the amazing response, his son Ziggy said in an interview. Like my father's music, this movie is meant for all the people, and his message of peace, love, and unity, it is clearly connecting with audiences around the world. We thank people for embracing this film and in doing so, helping to highlight the message of love. This movie sounds so good, and I think if I have some free time this weekend, I'm gonna go watch it. Speaking of this weekend, if you're looking for something to do, I have a couple events that might interest you. The Indiana Boat Show and Travel Show is happening at the State Fairgrounds, and the Indy Winter Farmers Market is going on downtown still. The Indiana Pacers will be hosting the Dallas Mavericks Sunday night, and Indiana Fuel faces off against Wichita Thunder on Saturday night. The UIndy women's and basketball team are both playing Rockhurst on Saturday. The women's game starts at 12:30 and the men's starts at 3. It is senior day for both teams, so be sure to show up and support your fellow Greyhounds. If none of that interests you, at least just take your girlfriend out to dinner or something. That's all I have for entertainment today. Let's head on back over to the desk with Naya and Elijah.
Thank you. That sounds pretty entertaining this weekend. I think I might have to get out to some of these events, to be completely honest.
And I am so ready for that Bob Marley movie. Yes, sir.
See,
Count
so
me in.
I tried to see it last weekend during All-Star Weekend. I don't think that was smart because every seat was filled. I was just like,
I mean, what did you expect with 100,000+ people in Indy, Elijah?
You know, I thought they would at least been at like Harry and Izzy's at the bars or something, not at the living room theater.
Yeah, that's true. You know, they should have been out with the NBA events while you enjoyed your Bob Marley movie.
I tried. Me and my girlfriend tried.
Oh, me and my fiance are going to have to get with it this weekend. Now on to other news. We are 46 days away from being able to experience the path of totality, and now some will have the opportunity to see it closer than most. The total solar eclipse is set to take place April 8th, and Delta Airlines plans to make this day more special for some by offering an exclusive flight directly in the path of totality, allowing passengers to get an up-close and longer view of this amazing spectacle. The Delta flight is scheduled to depart from Austin, Texas and land in Detroit, Michigan. Flight 1218 is so special that the plane used will even have extra large windows for optimal viewing, according to CNN. This has not been in the plane before. Delta also has more routes on April 8th that will provide passengers other great opportunities to experience the eclipse. The only tickets left for flight 1218 are around $1,200 before tax, sitting in just a basic seat. First class tickets went for close to $2,000 before selling out, and all the first classers clearly grabbed them up quick. Good thing for us Hoosiers, we are in the direct path of totality. And speaking of the eclipse, if you haven't already heard, like I just said, the solar eclipse will be visible here in Indianapolis for the first time in, get this, 819 years. It will be another 129 years before it happens again.
So if you can't make it onto a plane, like you said, with those $2,000 tickets, tickets to view the eclipse at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway are currently available for purchase for only $20 a person. General admission tickets provide access to the gate, on-site parking, and a special pair of glasses to ensure your eyes are protected against the harmful rays. Kids 18 and under have free admission with a paying adult and will also get a pair of limited edition solar eclipse glasses. I might want those.
I definitely do. 3-day camping packages are also available from April 6th through the 9th, starting at $125. UIndy will also have an opportunity for students to watch the eclipse right here on campus. School officials have excused classes during the eclipse to ensure students can experience this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Students are welcome to invite family and friends if they so desire for $10 a person. I cannot wait for April 8th.
Hey, you're gonna have to protect your eyes though, because I think whenever that last time was, we were all in high school, I stared directly into the sun.
Make sure to get those glasses because my mom is blind from that. Carry on.
In other news, the cost of checking a bag on American Airlines is going up. The airline is increasing the price of a bag checking and pressuring passengers to purchase tickets directly from the carrier in order to accrue frequent flyer miles. According to the airline, the cost of checking a bag will increase from $30 to $35 if done online and $40 if done at the airport. Online and in person, the cost of a second checking bag will increase from $40 to $45. The price increase makes American Airlines one of the most expensive U.S. airlines for checking a bag.
And we have more to come after this short break.
We'll leave it to our actual athletes. Watch UIndyTV's live sports broadcast on GLV CSN and YouTube.
There's often a moment when you're helping somebody with math where they just suddenly get over that little barrier and they get it. It's a nice aha moment, and I really like being involved in helping students achieve that moment. And we do get a lot of those here in the tutoring lab.
That 70s show Danny Masterson has been moved from high security prison in California to a lower security facility. He was convicted of raping 2 women in the early 2000s and was later sentenced for 30 years in jail. He started out at North Kern State Prison and then got moved to Corcoran State Prison. We learned last week that he got moved to California Men's Colony, which is a minimum and medium security prison. Masterson will be eligible for parole in 2042 when he will now be 40, when he will be 66. Sorry about that.
With more exciting news, you have the Beatles, and they are making a comeback. John, Paul, George, and Ringo are heading to the big screens. Director Sam Mendes is making 4 scripted movies about the Beatles, and they will all intersect and culminate in the band's 1970 breakup. According to Variety, the families of late John Lennon and George Harrison have all granted full life stories and music rights for the films. The movies are being funded by Sony Pictures Entertainment and are scheduled to come out in 2027. Wow, I had a lot of fun this time. And so thank you for joining us here on UIndyTV News.
Tune in next week at 6 p.m. at Uindytv on YouTube and Xfinity Channel 1096 for your weekly news update.
And as always, have a good night.
And be safe.